we are very grateful to have the FRA administrator with us and available to speak to us about his vision, Secretary Buttigieg's vision. We heard this morning, Amit, from Mayor Landrieu, from his view at the White House in terms of President Biden's vision for high-speed rail when the bill was being written and why all the money was put in. And he made it very clear to this group that you and the secretary will be making recommendations to the president about high-speed rail money, how it will be spent. He also made it clear that a large portion of the money will be going to Amtrak to really modernize and improve their infrastructure. When I came to the department in '09, I met Amit Bose, who we were able to snag, and he started out his career at DOT really as a congressional liaison, helping me interface with the Congress, and then moved his way. He's a very accomplished lawyer and became counsel to the FRA and did a terrific job for us. He's very accomplished, and there really could be no better person to head the FRA than Amit, and he's gathered a good team of people around him to help him. The advantage that he has that he never had before when he was under our administration, he's got a boatload of money and some big decisions to make. So Amit, thank you again for spending some time with us today, and please give a warm welcome to the FRA Administrator, Amit Bose.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Mr. Secretary, for that kind introduction. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here today and for the invitation from the CEO, Andy Kuntz, to be here. I particularly want to recognize this moment because we're at a major inflection point in terms of America's commitment to advance rail transportation. Make no mistake about that. I particularly appreciate being here and now. You all in the room are the key players to making high-speed rail happen in the United States. Just 18 months ago, President Biden signed the bipartisan infrastructure law, a once-in-a-generation opportunity and investment in our nation's infrastructure and economic competitiveness. As part of the president's Investing in America agenda, the Biden-Harris administration has announced over $220 billion in infrastructure law funding, advancing over 32,000 projects and driving over $470 billion in private sector manufacturing and clean energy investments. As we celebrate our significant progress during this infrastructure week, we have the opportunity to make this an infrastructure decade. This is particularly true for rail. Thanks to an unprecedented $66 billion in rail funding from President Biden's bipartisan infrastructure law, it's our moment to modernize rail infrastructure and invest in transformative rail corridors. It's our moment to build more and build better while creating jobs, unlocking exciting new prospects from the bottom up and the middle out. The Federal Railroad Administration is committed to a future that brings world-class passenger rail to many more communities across our country. And President Biden, Secretary Buttigieg, and Infrastructure Coordinator Mitch Landrieu have given their full support to the effort. Major projects and corridor development are underway and meeting significant milestones right now. In January, President Biden announced $292 million in mega project funding to complete a critical early phase of the Hudson Tunnel project, a project that had been stalled for 4 years between 2017 and 2021 until the new administration showed up. It addressed a major bottleneck on the Northeast corridor. And with the help of 2 Rebuilding American Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity RAISE grants, the California High-Speed Rail Authority is advancing the design of the Merced extension and improvements around Wasco. This is in addition to the approximately $3.5 billion in federal funding that the administration had gave under Secretary LaHood. FRA made more than $16 billion in rail funding available just last year and announced selections of more than 70 rail projects across the country, with even more selections anticipated this summer and fall. At the same time, we can't forget about the other Department of Transportation grant programs, RAISE that I mentioned, Infra, the nationally significant multimodal freight and highway projects, and the Reconnecting Communities programs that announced more than $210 billion in rail projects. Our rail investments made in 2022 are the foundation for future growth, and over the next 4 years, FRA will continue to invest strategically to bring world-class rail service to other regions across the country and grow a safer, cleaner, more equitable rail system. More than a decade after the Obama administration made that initial investment under the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act under Secretary LaHood, we have a chance to move high-speed rail more forward in America. Secretary LaHood's commitment and steadfastness were unwavering. I have no doubt that Americans are eager to have high-speed rail as a travel option. I hear about it in my travels across the country. High-speed rail and higher speed trains are icons of world-class rail and would contribute to a cleaner, more equitable rail system for us all. Americans should always lead the way in technology and infrastructure. And that means Americans shouldn't have to travel abroad to experience world-class passenger rail. We should have it right here. And we are making unprecedented sums of money in technology and infrastructure available. And that means that we want to support eligible entities and stakeholders to advance this effort so Americans can ride high-speed trains here. Notably, FRA made available over $4.5 billion in federal state partnership funding opportunity available last December to support future high-speed rail projects across the country, as well as expanding current passenger rail service. The applications are under review, and while I can't speak about them specifically, I want to reiterate that FRA aims to invest strategically to grow a safer, cleaner, and more equitable rail system. High-speed rail absolutely aligns with this administration's objectives. I encourage all of you to closely consider FRA's goals when advancing projects and pursuing federal funding. Number one, safety. Safety needs to be central to every aspect of America's rail network, including high-speed rail, which has a strong safety record across the globe. And it will remain at the heart of the Department of Transportation's actions, as well as our project investments. Climate. When it comes to climate, we all know rail is already an environmentally friendly and sustainable mode of transportation, especially true for high-speed rail. We will look for rail projects that further contribute to a greener future by using electricity to reduce emissions, and those that go even further by using renewable energy like solar, while providing rail travel times that are competitive with cars and short flights. Equity. We will also look for projects that expand equity by investing in disadvantaged and low-income communities, projects that create local jobs, connect where people live to new job markets and greater economic opportunities, as well as projects that prioritize small business, contracting, and workforce development. While the partnership program represents tremendous opportunities for FRA to help build, improve, and expand our passenger rail, FRA is not taking a top-down approach to identify or advance corridors or projects. We are looking to communities, states, and stakeholders like you to show us where demand, need, and feasibility are the highest. Launched last year, the first of its kind corridor identification and development program embodies that philosophy. That program will guide the development of new and enhanced intercity passenger rail by establishing a pipeline of projects ready for funding, allowing them to be implemented faster and with greater coordination. As all of you know, establishing corridors and rights of way is the foundation for any successful development or expansion of a rail network. The Corridor ID program helps create a new paradigm for developing those corridors, working in partnership to enhance service plans. The program will benefit all forms of rail transportation, including high-speed rail. Solicitations for the first round of the Corridor ID program closed at the end of March, and we will regularly solicit future proposals for new corridors to enter the program, and we will meet participants wherever you are in the project lifecycle, whether that's systems planning, project development, final design, construction, or operations. For interested parties, I want to remind you that the Corridor ID solicitations are not a one-time opportunity. I also want to remind you of the importance of familiarizing yourself with FRA's environmental review process, as well as project agreements, host railroad agreements, utility coordination and relocation needs, and the right-of-way acquisition that are all so crucial to advancing projects on a timely basis. High-speed rail already is a part of FRA's investment portfolio, and we will continue to build our internal capacity, increase our engagement, and where possible, make FRA's processes more efficient to support all of you stakeholders in this room and other eligible entities looking to advance high-speed rail projects. In January, FRA published our capital project guidance to assist project sponsors in developing effective, complete capital projects that meet schedules and budgets. In developing that guidance, FRA established a framework for project oversight that we hope will help sponsors prepare for future funding opportunities and deliver good projects well, as the Secretary has said. In March, we took steps to amend our passenger equipment safety standards to modernize Tier 1 and Tier 3 safety appliance requirements. Tier 3 passenger trains, as you heard from the last panel, are permitted to travel up to 125 miles an hour in a shared right-of-way and 220 miles an hour in an exclusive right-of-way without highway rail grade crossings. Additionally, the federal state notice of funding opportunity highlighted Buy America when developing projects. You also heard about that on the last panel. Meeting Buy America requirements and domestic sourcing and workforce plans will be crucial. FRA issued a notice to encourage the development of high-speed rail projects intended for operations over 160 miles an hour by establishing a streamlined process for reviewing those domestic sourcing and workforce plans. FRA also has a Buy America frequently asked questions webpage that provides even more information. FRA is committed to working with applicants on this topic going forward. FRA will also continue to explore more actions and ways to offer needed support to promote and establish a domestic supply chain with manufacturing capacity. In the big picture, FRA is committed to meeting the President's goal of delivering high-speed intercity passenger rail to the American people. And the federal-state partnership program, thanks to the President, thanks to Congress, provides some of the funding needed to help make that a reality. We still need non-federal funding to make these projects possible. And I commend those states that have put skin in the game already. I commend the private sector interests that have made funding priority projects a priority for them and have put their own money into those initiatives. Some time ago, FRA issued a safety rule of particular applicability and a record of decision for Shinkansen system on Texas Central. Texas Central remains possible. Progress is being made to make good on high-speed rail, and there is a growing body of evidence that shows the economic benefits of investing in transformative rail projects. In February, I was in California with the California High-Speed Rail Authority to mark the creation right now of more than 10,000 construction jobs since the start of construction on that project. In March, I was in Lexington, North Carolina, as Siemens announced over $200 million investment in a brand new rail manufacturing facility with over 500 jobs in that state. A month later, Department of Transportation Undersecretary Carlos Monier joined leader Chuck Schumer for a tour of work underway at the Alstom plant in Hornell, New York. I also know Brightline West has overcome significant challenges and now is poised for construction. Recently, they signed a labor agreement with the operating rail unions, and California and Nevada worked together on wildlife crossings for the project. These are just a few examples right now of what is possible when the public and private sector work together, and how rail investments can spur domestic manufacturing, job creation, and environmental and economic progress. They're made possible when we have bipartisan support in Congress. It's no secret, for decades, America has invested trillions of dollars in maintaining and expanding our highways and air travel. Yet, rail funding has lagged behind. This is no longer the case. We have the predictable, sustained, and robust funding needed for passenger rail projects that so many of us have been waiting for and advocating for. The bipartisan infrastructure law provides the funding, tools, and framework to advance 3 to 5 corridors across the country and help deliver high-speed rail. Preventable derailments and recent incidents have shined an intensified light on the freight rail industry and the need for a 21st century rail network. Americans deserve that. As we build out a high-speed rail network, it will be vital to give Americans confidence that these systems will operate safely as well as efficiently. I'm confident we can replicate the exemplary safety record of other high-speed rail systems around the world. We have a chance to advance an alternative to our congested highways and stressful airports that too many Americans have to navigate. Getting travelers to their destinations sooner and in a more relaxed way is absolutely our goal. I couldn't be more optimistic about the progress that we've made, and the Federal Railroad Administration will make billions more in funding available across our grant programs in the coming years. The Federal Railroad Administration remains fully committed to strengthening partnerships to deliver world-class passenger rail so long overdue in our country. The effort is not just about reducing travel times, though it will. It's about driving economic growth, creating jobs, contributing to a greener future, and bringing communities together in new ways. The benefits are many, and so too are the opportunities that are in front of us. We are on the cusp of a new expansion of opportunities for rail modernization. High-speed rail will be a critical element of that effort, and the Federal Railroad Administration looks forward to working in partnership with you as we move America forward. Thank you for your time this morning.